Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a fantastic set of sources today on a really foundational piece of labor law, the Indian Factories Act of 1948.
It's a huge one.
Right. So our mission today is to dig into this act, not just as a historical document, but as a living blueprint for worker safety, health, and welfare standards that, well, affected millions.
It really did. And what's fascinating is its specificity. Our goal is to quickly get you up to speed on the core structure, some of those surprisingly granular rules, and, the enforcement that actually gives the law its teeth.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. Before you can have rules, you need to know who the rules apply to. So what exactly is a factory under this act?
That definition is the absolute starting point, and it's designed to be pretty broad. A factory is any place with a manufacturing process happening.
But there's a condition, right? A numbers game.
Exactly. It's all about the number of workers, and it depends on whether they're using power.
Give us those numbers.
So if you have 10 or more workers and you're using power sync machinery, it's a factory.
10 or more. Oh.
Or if you have 20 or more workers without the aid of power, it's still a factory.
Ah, so it captures both the automated plants and the larger manual workshops. That's smart.
It's a very clever way to cast a wide net.
Let's move inside that factory then. The sources spend a lot of time on the health provisions, basically dictating the physical environment down to the smallest detail.
Well, they had to. The thinking was that if the environment itself is unsafe, dirty, stuffy, too crowded, then things like machine guards are only half the battle.
So what are the basics?
The basics are, well, what you'd hope for. General cleanliness is mandated. Regular waste removal, painting, keeping things hygienic. Then there's ventilation and temperature. You need adequate fresh air.
Which seems obvious, but I'm guessing in 1948 it really wasn't a given.
Not at all. But here's where it gets, as you said, really granular. I'm talking about the rule designed to stop the spread of disease in crowded spaces.
The overcrowding rule. This one jumped out at me.
It's so precise. The law mandates a minimum of 14.2 cubic meters of space per worker.
14.2. Not enough space, but a specific, measurable volume. You can walk in with a tape measure and check for compliance.
Exactly. It's not subjective. It's a hard number. This was a direct shot at preventing the kind of conditions that led to things like tuberculosis spreading in factories.
So you've got your personal space protected. What about the air you're breathing?
Also covered. The Act requires specific controls for harmful dust and fumes. And in industries that use it, like textiles, it even regulates artificial humidification to make sure it's done safely.
And then there are the absolute non-negotiables for, just being human.
Right. And the Act makes them legal requirements. Sufficient lighting, for one, and critically, access to clean drinking water.
Clean and accessible.
Yes. And of course, adequate and sanitary latrines and urinals. These aren't perks, they're mandated parts of a humane workplace.
It's like the law treats the factory itself as an organism that needs to be kept healthy.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so the environment is stable. Let's talk about the machines. The immediate physical dangers. This is where we get into the safety provisions.
Yes, and this is all about risk mitigation. Preventing the things that cause immediate catastrophic injury. The absolute foundation of this section is the fencing of machinery.
Meaning what, exactly?
If it moves, it has to be guarded. Any moving part of a machine, a flywheel, a gear, a cutting blade, must be securely fenced to prevent a worker from making contact with it.
But sometimes you have to get near a machine while it's running, right? For maintenance or adjustments.
And the Act has an answer for that. It's not a loophole. It mandates special precautions for work on or near machinery in motion. This isn't just a suggestion. It means documented procedures, specific training, no improvising.
And if something goes wrong, you need a kill switch.
A big red button, essentially. The Act calls it striking gear and devices. Every machine needs an emergency stop that's easy to reach and cuts the power instantly.
That feels like a rule written in blood. You can just imagine the accidents that led to it.
Many of these were, yes, they were responses to real-world tragedies.
It's not just the machines, though. It's the building itself.
Correct. Structural safety is key. The Act covers floors, stairs, and means of access. They have to be safely built and maintained, and any opening is a risk.
Like a pit in the floor.
Exactly. Pits, sumps, any opening has to be securely covered or fenced. No exceptions. And things that move people or materials vertically, like hoists and lifts, are singled out for regular inspection and certification.
So you're safe on the ground, you're safe going up, you're safe around the machines. What about the big ambient dangers? Fire.
Mandatory. Precautions against fire are required. That means the right equipment, clear exits, and this is important, fire drills. People need to know what to do.
And the Act also singles out the most vulnerable people in the workforce.
It draws a very bright, very hard line. Children, that's anyone below the age of 14, are absolutely prohibited from working in a factory, period.
Full stop. But what about teenagers? The sources mention young persons.
Right, that's the next category, 15 to 18 years old. They can work, but the protections are intense. First, they need a certificate of fitness from a doctor.
So a doctor has to sign off that they're physically up to the job.
Yes, and they are completely restricted from doing certain hazardous jobs, and their hours are cut way back.
We'll get to hours in a minute.
Yeah.
This is all so comprehensive. Let's shift from just preventing harm to actively supporting the worker. Section 3, welfare.
This is where the Act goes beyond just safety and starts thinking about the worker's quality of life. These are the provisions that make a difficult job sustainable.
Okay, so some things are universal. I'm seeing washing facilities and first aid.
Correct. Every factory needs clean places to wash and proper first aid, either boxes or a full room with trained staff. Those are baseline. But the really clever part is how other amenities scale up with the number of employees.
Right, the thresholds. So at what point does a factory owner have to provide lunch?
A canteen becomes mandatory once you hit 250 workers.
250.
At that scale, the law says you can't just expect everyone to fend for themselves. You need a proper place for them to get a meal.
And what about just a place to sit down?
Shelters and restrooms are also required, so workers have a clean, designated space to take their breaks.
Now let's talk about the provision that feels almost decades ahead of its time, the one for working mothers.
The crèche provision. This is truly remarkable. If a factory employs 30 or more women,
Just 30.
just 30 women, if they hit that number, they are legally required to provide and maintain a crèche, a daycare, for the employees' young children.
For 1948, that's just incredible. It's a direct acknowledgement that childcare is a workplace issue.
It absolutely is. And the support structure grows with the factory. There's one more threshold.
The welfare officer.
Yes. At 500 or more workers, you have to hire a dedicated welfare officer, someone whose entire job is to oversee these provisions and be a resource for the workers.
So space, safety, welfare. Now let's talk about the most valuable resource, time. Section 4, working hours. This is the core defense against exploitation.
It is. The Act puts hard numerical limits on work. For adults, the work week is capped at 48 hours.
Okay, 48 hours a week and per day.
A maximum of 9 hours per day. And you cannot work for more than 5 hours straight without getting a rest break of at least 30 minutes.
So that half-hour break is legally protected. It can't be taken away.
It cannot. It's mandatory.
What about overtime? Industries always need to push production sometimes.
They do, but it's tightly controlled. Overtime is capped at 60 hours total in a quarter.
60 hours a quarter. That's not much. It really forces management to plan ahead.
It does. And of course, a weekly holiday is mandatory. No 7-day work weeks.
And for women workers, there are extra rules on top of the standard hours, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same 48-hour week, but they are specifically prohibited from working at night. The restricted period is between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m., unless a special exemption is granted by the state.
And for the young persons, the 15 to 18-year-olds,
Their time is even more protected. They can only work a maximum of 4.5 hours a day.
4.5 hours, half a standard workday.
Exactly. The law prioritizes their health and development over their labor.
Okay, last piece on time. Vacation. How does annual leave with wages work?
It's a simple formula. You earn 1 day of paid leave for every 20 days you work. And the Act is clear that this is earned time. It can't just be forfeited, and you can accumulate it up to certain limits.
This is an incredible web of rules. But rules are just words on paper without enforcement. Section 5. Accountability. How does this system actually work?
It all starts with getting on the grid. Registration and licensing. You can't just open a factory, you have to register it. And the occupier.
The occupier being the owner or the main manager?
Usually, yes. The person with ultimate responsibility. They have to get a license, and it has to be renewed.
And that occupier is on the hook for everything we've just talked about.
Everything. They have to maintain all the statutory registers, the muster roll for attendance, the overtime register, all of it. And they have a legal duty to report any accidents immediately.
But workers have a role to play too, right?
Yeah.
It's not all on management.
Yeah. That's a key part of it. Workers have responsibilities. They have to use the safety equipment they're given, they have to follow the procedures, and they have an obligation to report unsafe conditions.
And the person who walks the floor and checks all this is the inspector.
The factory inspector. And their powers are Significant.
What can they do?
They can enter and inspect a factory at any time without notice. They can examine records. They can question workers. And most importantly, if they see a violation, they can order changes. They can even issue a stop work order if there's an immediate danger.
They have real power.
They are the teeth of the law.
And if an occupier ignores the inspector, ignored the law, what are the penalties?
They're serious. We're talking fines that can go up to 2 lakh rupees or imprisonment for up to 2 years, or both. It's designed to be a very strong deterrent.
As we start to wrap this up, let's look at the day-to-day in the future. What does ongoing compliance look like?
It's about building a culture. It means regular safety drills, proper induction training for all new hires, and a really vital, simple thing: posting abstracts of the act in the local language so every single worker knows their rights.
Right, it has to be accessible.
Absolutely.
And looking forward, this law is from 1948.
Oh.
A lot has changed.
A great deal. The big development you need to have on your radar is the Code on Occupational Safety, Health, and Working Conditions from 2020. It's a massive legislative project.
What's the goal?
The goal is to consolidate 13 separate labor laws, including this Factories Act, into one single modern code. Full implementation is still in process, but it's the future of this regulatory landscape.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. The main takeaway for me is just how unbelievably detailed this 1948 Act was. It established a framework that protected workers down to the cubic meter of air they breathe and the half-hour break they take.
It gave workers tangible, measurable, and legally enforceable rights. And that specificity brings us to the final thought for you to chew on.
Okay, let's hear it.
We just celebrated the surgical precision of the 1948 Act, like that rule requiring a creche for just 30 women workers. The new 2020 code aims to simplify and harmonize 13 different laws into one. So the question to ask yourself is, in the drive for modernization and simplification, what might be gained, but also what specific targeted protections like that one might be lost or diluted when the goal shifts from granular detail to broad harmonization?